No other country requires the individual to do so much for their retirement planning than the United States.
We begin exploring an anxiety-producing question. Do I have enough saved for retirement? Nearly 40% of households face a lower standard of living in retirement.
A Social Security estimate can make retirement look like one person choosing one monthly number. You open the account. You look at the ages. 62 gives one amount. Full retirement age gives another. Age 70 gives another. And because the numbers are lined up so cleanly, the decision can feel clean too. Pick the month, file the claim, start the check. That is when the clock starts to matter, because the age you choose can do more than set your first payment. It can shape the benefit that follows you, and in some households it can help set the floor a surviving spouse may have to live on later. That is the part a monthly estimate can be easy to read past. The estimate shows a number. The household trade-off has to be connected to it, and that difference matters. A clean estimate can create confidence before it creates understanding. The screen gives a person something they can act on today. The later consequence may belong to a spouse who is not even thinking of the decision as their own. The public surface of the decision is familiar. Social Security gives workers a way to estimate future retirement benefits through a personal account. The estimate is useful. It is not a trick. It helps you see how much your retirement benefit may be if you start at different ages. That is exactly why the surface is so powerful. It turns a complicated lifetime system into a row of monthly numbers. The problem is not that the number is fake. The problem is that the number can feel complete before the household consequence has been connected. A person born in 1960 or later reaches full retirement age at 67. Retirement benefits can begin as early as 62, but starting early means the benefit is reduced. For someone turning 62 in 2026, Social Security says the benefit would be about 30% lower than it would be at full retirement age. That is the first hidden pressure point. The monthly number is not just a smaller check in the first year, it is the benefit level the household may keep carrying forward. This is why the claiming age matters so much. At full retirement age, the worker reaches the full retirement benefit. Before that age, the monthly benefit is reduced. After that age, waiting can increase the benefit until age 70. For people in this age group, Social Security's own retirement materials show that delaying after full retirement age can add 8% for each full year of delay. That does not mean everyone should wait. Some people cannot. Health changes, work ends, debt arrives, a spouse needs income now, a job disappears at the wrong time. The point is not that early claiming is always wrong. The point is that early claiming is not only an income start date, it is a rule choice. Once the application turns into a benefit, the decision enters a system with clocks, reductions, and limits. The human story begins when the person sees the estimate as a budget answer. The institutional story begins when that answer becomes a benefit record. There is a do-over, but it is not open-ended. Social Security allows a person to cancel or withdraw a benefits application up to 12 months after benefit approval. That sounds simple until the conditions appear. You can only cancel once. You can reapply later, but if payments have already started, repayment enters the room. That can mean repaying the money paid to you and your family. It can also include money withheld for Medicare premiums, taxes, and garnishments. So the correction path exists. But it is not just a button marked undo. It has a clock, it has a one-time limit. It can have a cash requirement attached to it. This is the second pressure point. The system gives the decision a narrow correction window. Inside that window, the household may still be able to step back. Outside it, the early claiming choice can become part of the long-term benefit structure. That is why the phrase "just claim and adjust later" can be dangerous. There is an adjustment path, but the path is not frictionless. The decision becomes bigger when the worker is not the only person the benefit may affect. Survivor benefits are where the personal number starts to look like a household floor. Social Security explains that a surviving spouse at full retirement age or older generally gets 100% of the worker's basic benefit amount, but the same survivor materials add the line that changes the episode. If the worker who died was receiving reduced benefits, Social Security bases the survivor's benefit on that amount. That is the quiet bridge. A reduced worker benefit can become the base for a survivor benefit. The household may not feel that at the moment of filing. At that moment, the question may be rent, groceries, debt, job loss, health, or whether the check can start soon enough. Years later, the question may be different. What income remains after one spouse dies? What fixed costs are still there? What happens when one Social Security check disappears and the survivor keeps the higher amount, not both? This is where the estimate becomes something else. It is no longer only a first payment screen, it is a future floor. There is another side gate that can complicate the claiming decision. It is not the main clock, but it shows why claiming is never just one screen. Working while receiving benefits before full retirement age can trigger the retirement earnings test. For 2026, Social Security lists an annual exempt amount for people under full retirement age. Above that amount, benefits can be withheld. In the year someone reaches full retirement age, a different limit applies before that month. This should not become the main episode. The earnings test is not the governing mechanism here. It is a secondary proof of the same pattern. A person thinks they are choosing a check. The system is also asking about timing, age, work, and rules that may not feel connected when the application is filed. Then the episode returns to the real chain. The claim starts as one benefit decision. The consequence can travel through multiple rules. That is the pattern Legacies Digest cares about. The hidden rule is not hidden because it is unpublished. It is hidden because the decision is spread across separate official surfaces. One surface shows the estimate, another explains early claiming, another explains withdrawal, another explains survivor benefits, another explains work and earnings limits. The household consequence is easier to miss because the proof sits across different pages. This is not a rare corner of the retirement system. In the latest official statistical supplement, Social Security reported more than 3.7 million retired worker awards in calendar year 2024. Many of those awards involved reductions for early retirement. That is the scale of the screen. That does not make early retirement a mistake. It means the claiming age rule is not a niche issue. It is a mass decision surface. Every year, households convert work histories into monthly benefit records. Some do it with advisors. Some do it after layoffs. Some do it after illness. Some do it because one income is no longer enough. And many do it while trying to solve the next 12 months, not the next 20 years. That is why the episode has to stay disciplined. The story is not that a person failed to understand a rule. The story is that the rule sits inside a life decision that often arrives under pressure. A household cannot hear that only as policy language. It has to hear it as sequence. First, one spouse claims. Then the monthly benefit becomes normal. The budget adjusts around it. Years pass. The check that once felt like a personal decision becomes part of the household baseline. Then, if one spouse dies, the survivor is not managing two checks anymore. The survivor is managing one benefit structure under rules that were shaped earlier. That is the real pressure. Not drama, not blame. Sequence. A decision made in one season of life can become the boundary condition in another. The rules are public. The forms exist. The retirement materials tell people that claiming age matters. The survivor materials explain how survivor benefits are calculated. The stronger story is more precise. A rule-bound system can be accurate and still leave the household responsible for connecting separate official rules before the decision becomes permanent in practice. That is where financial planning enters, not as a sales pitch. As translation, the viewer does not need panic. The viewer needs to recognize the decision surface. Before filing, the question is not only, what check can I start? It is also, what rule am I activating? And for couples it is, what floor could this create for the person who may be left with one check later? The claiming clock is not a scandal story. It is a precision story. A monthly estimate gives the decision a clean shape. A claiming age gives the benefit its rule. A withdrawal window gives the decision a clock. And a survivor benefit can carry the consequence beyond the person who filed. That is the hidden enforcement chain. Estimate, claim, reduction, window, survivor floor. Once you see the chain, the benefit screen looks different. The number is still real. The rule is still official. The check may still be necessary. But the decision is no longer just the first payment. It is a household income decision with a clock attached. And the most important part may not be the amount you see first. It may be the amount someone else has to live with later. That is what changes after this episode. The viewer is not told to claim early or late. The viewer is shown the chain before the application becomes the record. If you can see the gap now, there's another investigation behind it. Same pattern, different system. Subscribe so you catch the next one.